bold prediction. I think the Celtics might win it. I don't know, a lot about what teams like the Lakers or the Warriors have in the tank, right, so far in the season, but I do know one thing, and it's that Boston looks like the most promising team to win the championship for a few reasons. Apart from like that they're just built for it, they went to the finals last year. They have a team which is extremely deep. I believe that they just are the one team that isn't phased by anything, by any of the stipulation. Oh, you need to be clutch. They've been extremely clutch this year. You need to be able to beat good teams. They have a winning record, I'm pretty sure, against every good team. You need to be a high seeding. They're the second best team in the NBA. You need to have great defense. They're, I think, maybe the first or second best defense in the NBA. And realistically, the Celtics are just one of those teams where they don't have any blemishes. They have guys who perform in the playoffs like Derek White, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum. They have guys who could step up like Robert Williams, Al Horford, and they have vets, right, who are always going to be there, right? Like they have a Blake Griffin or an Al Horford, guys who have been there, who have done it in terms of like been in deep playoff runs and don't get stressed and who actually play up to performance. The only thing that this team allows this team to win a championship is if Jason Tatum plays well. Even if his efficiency might drop and he might be worse than what he was in the regular season. But he had a damn near perfect regular season. But I do believe that if he just stays the same, it's going to be hard to beat this team because what are you going to do with them? Like there's no point guard which you can throw at them, which they might not have an answer for, except maybe Steph Curry. But they have Marcus Smart defensively, and they have Derek White if you throw a bigger point guard at them. And then they have Malcolm Brogdon if you throw a point guard who can't defend at them. So they have point guard play. Shooting guard, they have Jaylen Brown, which is already a matchup problem. He can defend, he can score. And even if he's doing bad, you bring a guy like Derek White or Malcolm Brogdon in just to get some buckets. And meanwhile, JB can sit on the bench, right? And then you bring him back in the game if there's a matchup problem there. And then that's fixed. Right, with Jason Tatum, he's the superstar. I feel like that's the only position that they need him to perform because it would be a terrible look on the Celtics and Joe Mazzulla as a coach if he sat Tatum. Even if he was playing horribly, I believe that, superstars get that treatment of we're never going to bench you. We're going to run our team through you. And even if you're having a bad game, you don't bench a superstar, and that's just what it is. But even if they do have to bench Tatum for more minutes in a game, then Jaylen Brown could always take up that role. They have Al Horford, Blake Griffin, Robert Williams. Then they have just a bunch of guys. They have like spark plugs off the bench like Payne Pritchard. And they're like that like white guy tandem that they have, which is just a bunch of like white dudes who could shoot and guard and who are pretty much X factors for them, because if they have nothing going, then those guys have shown even last year that they could actually just come in and get a few points up, and that could actually like mess with the other team's head. But I don't know how any team is gonna stop them, and that's the problem. Like, how are you beating this team? Because it's like, look, the Lakers look like they could win it. The Nuggets look like they could win it. And maybe the Heat, but they have been on a tear. So if they can do this consistently, then maybe they look like they could win it. And the Warriors look like they could win it. Right? The Suns, they got dogged by Denver in that first game. And I don't want to be too reactionary, but they did, like Devin Booker did average 37 points in the first round. How sustainable is that, right? And KD played a massively efficient series. What happens when your top three guys like CP, KD and Devin Booker start getting guarded like they're CP, KD, and Devin Booker, right? Let's say a team like Boston throws Al Horford, Marcus Smart, and Jaylen Brown of those three. Are they going to be able to keep up? I don't believe that they will. I believe that just a good defensive team which has bodies is probably able to stop the Suns, because I do believe that that first game against Denver and the game that they lost to the Clippers are signs of like, yo, is this team actually a contender, right? I do believe that they could win against Denver, and they could win the championship, but it's gonna take that team really coming to form and everything locking into place for them, because they're way too good. And I believe that actually starts with utilizing DeAndre Ayton more as a offensive weapon. But the Lakers, they have LeBron and AD, and they look awesome. The problem is how sustainable is your role players being that good, and when is LeBron gonna start stepping up? Like, LeBron had a mediocre series. He played great, and the games that they needed to win, he was there. He made clutch plays, and he was extremely consistent. But really, how are you going to keep up the fact that each game that you played had a different leading score? Like, that's crazy. So, in my opinion, the Lakers need to figure out, when are we going to let LeBron reach that different mode? Like, when is he going to activate that? Is it going to be against the Warriors, right? Are they going to need him there to be that? Is it going to be in the Western Conference Finals if they make it? Like, when is LeBron going to turn into that guy we know? Because it's not that he's playing badly. It's just that since the Grizzlies have such big bodies, and he was forced to become more of like a passer, rebounder, and defender, which is something that's great and allows his team to win. But they're eventually going to need that top 2 player of all time to step up and become, himself. The Knicks, I don't feel like could win the championship. I feel like they could at best make the conference finals, but the Heat stole a game at home, so that makes it complicated for them, I do believe that the Heat are going to beat the Knicks, but I do believe that we have to be careful about underestimating the East as a whole. I don't know if the Sixers can win it. I feel like the lights are gonna get bright in the finals, and that could be a problem for the Sixers, especially with a guy like Joel Embiid, who's never made it past the second round. And that's not to throw shade at him. I just believe that that's a big stage, especially for an MVP caliber player. So really, when it all comes down to it, I know we said this last year too, but it looks like Boston is going to win the championship. If they don't, then it will probably be a choke job by Jason Tatum, or that there was just a team which was better fit to beat them, right? But it does really look like they're at least going to the finals this year, even though I'm a Miami fan and I would like to say otherwise.